Well, guys, we've had a lot of fun in this new 2024 Ford Explorer ST. It's time to get serious and do some maintenance. Let's do an oil change. I'll go through all the steps, what you need, and what you got to do to get this oil change done. You can do it in your own garage and know it's done right. The first thing I've got here is I've got 5W30. This is Mobil 1. This is a full synthetic motor oil. And if you're running a twin turbo, a EcoBoost, a Raptor, anything with an EcoBoost or a twin turbo motor or a turbo motor, you need to use a good quality oil, and Mobil 1 is a good quality oil. I remember running this in my Corvette when I had a Corvette, but it's going to take 6 quarts of that. So here's the other 5 right here. And I just went with a Motorcraft filter. Now this Motorcraft filter is an FL-2062-A. And when you get this filter, open it at the store and make sure, some of them have rubber ends on both ends. Some of them really don't need that. But make sure it has new O-rings. And it should have 3 of them in here. 2 blue and 1 smaller one. And that smaller one there is similar to one on, say, a fuel injector for an LS motor. So it's going to be somewhere about that size. Well, now that I got all my stuff, let's go ahead and I've got the motor warmed up just a little bit. I didn't want to get it too hot, but I got it warmed up a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is I want to check the oil level on the dipstick to see where we're at. And then we're going to pull that and we'll get underneath that. I'll show you where to jack it up, move everything around, and we'll skip all the crap and we'll get straight to it. Let's go ahead and raise this hood up. That's where the prop rod goes, right there. There's the oil fill right here, and here's the dipstick. Let's light this up. Let's go ahead and pull this dipstick out of this motor. Try not to get it everywhere. The oil looks really clean. It don't look bad at all. That's what the oil looks like now. But we want to go ahead and get that off of there and go ahead and get ready to drop this oil. Now, you guys know that I'm a bigger type guy. I'm going to have to jack this thing up a little bit. So let's jack it up, and that way we can get underneath this properly. This is the setup I'm going to use. This is a 3-ton low profile jack, and we're going to slide it underneath the front. And I'll show you under there where we got to hook it up at. Now what I did here is I've got some small cribbing that I made for the Tahoe. I had some extra pieces left over, so I made a little small one. I put that on there kind of like a little safety barrier. But this is where I lifted it up. There's metal right there, and it's good solid. So I went ahead and put that on there like that. And I put my jack stands underneath here. If you'll see, there's an arrow. I don't know if you can see that arrow or not, but there's an arrow somewhere. And that's where I put the jack stands. All right, this is the bottom of this dude right here. So we've got 7mm bolts all underneath this thing. We'll have to move around and get them out of the way, but they are right here. And let's see, how many do we have under here? Several of them, I think. Let's see, one right here. Try to get all these out where you can see what's going on. looks like just 5 of them under here. So that ain't too many. Where is the special tool? All right, you're gonna need one of these. I don't know, can y'all see that? Heck no, this is not hooked to anything. That's not hooked to anything. Whoever did this last lost this stuff. Uh-huh. I'm going to show you a close-up what I use to get these off here. I just use this right here, and I get under there on both sides. You just kind of lift up, and it'll pull them out, and that'll get them out of your way. Once you get those out of the way, just pull it down, and it should come right out of there. And here's our plug right here, as you can see. And it's a plastic, of course, because that's the way they are now. They're just plastic. So we'll go ahead and take this undone, and we'll get the oil pan under here ready to catch this oil. Let me get it over here. Now that we got our oil pan under here, I'm hoping that this doesn't hit on these cooling lines right here. I'm filling them. I don't feel no oil on them. But I think we ought to put something over that, because that oil's going to come right out just like that. It's going to hit right about here probably. Yeah, it's probably going to shoot right on out of there. So let's back on out. Let's see if I can get this to stay right there. All right, I'm going to put this right here like this, just like that, and I believe that'll hit that right there. And that's a milk jug right there that I just cut out. And now let's see if we can't get this thing to unscrew. All right, there it is. Yeah. Making a mess, ain't I? Yes, sir. That's how we do it around here. We just make a mess. But it worked. It hit this instead of getting on my cooling lines. So that's a good deal. I hope y'all saw that mess I just made. I mean, it splashed everywhere. But the oil feels really good. I can tell you, these plugs, they kind of crappy. The next time I change this oil, I will change this plug. This plug is still good. O-ring is definitely still good, but I recommend changing it every other oil change or every oil change. That's just my recommendation. Whew, what a mess. Now I'm gonna get on here and show you a little bit better. You'll see that milk jug. That's just my little splash guard that I made to keep from splashing and getting on those cooling lines. The transmission coolers right here are the cooling lines coming from the transmission, and they run up through there. Well, they ain't gonna even get oil all over that, and it didn't get any on it, but if it's hot and it's really coming out, that kept it from, it's got on it down there at the bottom a little bit, but who knows, it might have got on at the top too and just dripped off. But that's my little splash guard I made, and I'll show y'all how I made it. All right, we'll get all of this kind of wiped off a little bit, clean it up real good. There's no oil on it, so All looks cleaned up real nice. And we'll call that good. Now we'll put the cover back on. Everything is back together. Let's get this where you can see it. But everything is back together. All these little clips, these 7mm, they're all back in there where they go. Everything is tight like it's supposed to be. And here's the underside where you can see where that jack hooks up. And you can see that this bar running right through here is steel. And right through there is a steel bar. And that was a good place to mount them. And these are rubber on top. So it ain't that big of a deal. You know, it ain't gonna hurt them. But that's where I put mine. You can put yours wherever you want to, but you can use ramps. Ramps would be really good for this project. All right, here's a picture of my jug that I cut and used. And I just split it up at the top. That way it could slide up and kind of lock in place on those lines. You know, those two lines were like that. And it kind of locked up and stayed right there. But it made a good splash guard to keep it off of the lines. But that's how I made it right there. Pretty simple. I guess we'll bring it back down now. Make sure I got all my jack stands out from underneath it. Everything is clear. All right, now we can let her down. Slowly. That was pretty simple. All right, the rest of this we can do underneath the hood. All right, the oil filter is a 1 1/16 inch. So we're gonna put a socket on it. And let's hope the last person who changed it didn't. Oh, they didn't. They did not over torque it. That's wonderful. Okay. Let's take this out real slow. Okay. Now let's kick this out kind of slow and catch it with this. This thing has black O-rings on it. All right. This thing has black O-rings on it. So we know they've been changed because the ones from the factory are orange. So they've definitely been changed. This is just the cover. Now we're going to pull the filter out. All right. Here's the filter here. And we'll open this up and take a look at it. We will definitely open this up and take a look at it. All right, let's go ahead and get these O-rings off of here. And this is the way I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna just stick that up underneath there, and I should be able to just kind of flick it off. And there's that one. Not bad at all. And then we'll go ahead and get this off. And this one off. And we'll wipe everything down, clean it up real good. And just to let you know, this says on here, Ford Motor Company PA6GF15 Plus MD25. And it shows right here 24 plus or minus 2 Nms for your torque. So you don't want to go over that on your torque. It don't have to be that tight. Go ahead and put this one on first. And I'm just going to kind of stretch it on there. Hopefully it don't go flying across the shop somewhere. Have known to do that before. These are kind of a pain to put on. Whatever you do, you don't want to cut it. I don't think you can see what I'm doing, can you? You don't want to put your fingernail on it. Man, is it tough to do. Let me see if I can't stretch it a little bit, but I hate to stretch it. But everybody talks about how bad this little dude here is. They say this is the worst thing. But look at that. We got it on there. So if you try, and you try long enough, you will succeed. You'll get it. Now we're going to do the new blue ones. And these are pretty simple. These just kind of roll over the threads. They're not hard to do at all. Do the first track first, and then you'll roll over it to put the second one on. All right. Now, I'm going to open up one of these oil containers, and I'm going to put a little oil on this before I screw this back in there. Well, I said I was. Come on. Get in there. There it is. Stick my finger in there and get that lubed up good. And get this one lubed up good. And we'll slide our filter in. It goes in just like that. And then we'll reinsert it. All right, now that we got it back on, we'll step back down in there. I can feel it go past the first O-ring, and then it went to the second O-ring. I'm gonna go get my torque wrench. All right, torque wrench is on. Okay, we're torqued. All right, let's put a funnel in here. Everybody I've talked to about this car says that that's right in the way. So we're gonna see if we can't pour it in there and make it right. Well, I tell you what, that was a good pour right there. I mean, not even a drop. That tickles me when I do something like that. Usually, it's not behind the camera, it's just invisible. Nobody sees it. We'll let that settle for a minute, and then we'll come back and we'll check it. Seems to be a little bit low, but it doesn't seem like it's a whole quart low. So, I'm going to put about half of this quart in it. We're going to crank it up and let it run. That looks about like half. we'll crank it up and let it run and see if I need to add that extra half a quart, which I probably will. Everything I read about says that it takes 6 quarts, so I don't see anybody out here lying about that. So we'll see. Let's let everything settle for just a few more minutes and then we'll give it a first crank. All right, it's been a few minutes. Let's give her a crank. All right, while I was in there, I went ahead and reset the oil life. Let's check it one more time. And I bet you we're going to need that other part. Yes, sir, we are. I figured we would need it because it hadn't filled up the oil filter yet or any of that. So that right there, I'm sure will top her off. We will check it again tomorrow just to be sure we don't need any more. Well, do you reckon there's a better sport SUV out there for the money than the Ford Explorer ST? I'm going to tell you, this one here is fun. We have enjoyed this car. It's very sporty. It does pretty well on fuel economy, you know, for a sport SUV anyway. But we really like it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit that like button and that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It helps out the channel. It helps me grow so I can reach more people. And I'll do more oil changes on different cars. Y'all have a great day.